Psychology in Film, One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. This extravagant character analysis of Billy Bibbit was created and presented by
Katie Roberts,
Olivia Norman,
and the one and only Peyton Fanning. Billy Bibbit is a male 30-year-old patient in a mental institution in the 1960s. Billy is relatively immature and naive for his age. He demonstrates anxious behavior in all scenarios, further emphasized by his stutter. He also has an unstable relationship with his mother, which is evident throughout the film. Billy has a history of suicidal behavior, including unsuccessful past attempts to end his life. Our diagnosis for Billy is borderline personality disorder. As mentioned in the DSM-V, BPD is a pervasive pattern of instability in interpersonal relationships, self-image, and affect, and marked impulsivity, beginning by early adulthood and present in a variety of contexts, as indicated by 5 or more of the symptoms listed on the slide. The 5 denoted by asterisks are symptoms which Billy exhibits. One of the most prevalent symptoms we observed was a pattern of unstable and intense interpersonal relationships characterized by alternating between extremes of idealization and devaluation. Billy's relationship with his mother is very dependent and fear-driven. Throughout the movie, it is brought up many times that his mother is close friends with the head nurse in the mental ward, and every single time Billy makes a mistake, he feels an intense level of distress and pleads for the nurse not to tell my mother. It can be assumed that he is afraid of her judgment and disapproval. Billy is also a 30-year-old virgin and acts very erratically around women in general. Before checking himself into the hospital, he prematurely proposed to a woman he barely knew. He also demonstrated irrational and intense attachment to Candy, the prostitute who he knew for an extremely short amount of time and lost his virginity to. This was exhibited by him asking McMurphy if Candy was going to run away to Canada with him and if McMurphy wanted to marry her. The second prevalent symptom we observed was recurrent suicidal behavior, gestures, or threats, or self-mutilating behavior. Billy has scars on his wrists from before he lived in the mental institution. He also has cigarette burns on his wrists, which can be assumed to be his attempts at self-harm since he had been admitted. In the final scene of the movie, Billy commits suicide out of fear that his mother will find out he slept with Candy. This connection between these symptoms shows that they are the 2 main symptoms from which Billy suffers. One symptom Billy is lacking is inappropriate intense anger or difficulty controlling anger. Throughout the movie, he remains passive in his interactions, remains in control of his emotions, and isn't easily angered. Billy is easily made anxious or afraid in relation to his mother, but we never see angry outbursts. Talk therapy is the most common form of treatment for borderline personality disorder. We would suggest that Billy attend 1 to 2 sessions a week with a mental health counselor. The most popular form of therapy is dialectical behavior therapy, which focuses on the concept of mindfulness and the awareness of emotion. By learning to manage one's behaviors, the goal is also to get a handle on one's emotional distress. We would highly suggest that Billy undergo DBT therapy, as it is proven to be the most effective form of talk therapy. Another form of treatment for BPD is medication, generally limited to 2 subcategories of antipsychotic agents and mood stabilizers. However, BPD is a biological disorder, so a cure is not currently attainable. We would suggest that Billy could try the medication if he wanted to, as medication to alleviate symptoms of the disorder are only effective for some people. Finally, we would suggest that Billy participates in self-care exercises to improve quality of life. These activities can include starting a diet and exercise routine, maintaining a consistent sleep schedule, and learning to manage his stress in a more controlled manner. Some positive long-term effects of these 3 combined treatments can include reduced self-destructive behavior, better control over personal distress, improvement of interpersonal relationships, and a higher overall quality of life. Some ethical concerns to be considered in this path of treatment include coercing Billy to participate in this regular talk therapy, which could push him out of his comfort zone. This could initially raise his stress and anxiety levels higher than he can handle, leading to more intense symptoms. We believe in this film, Billy gave both an accurate and inaccurate portrayal of the disorder. He very clearly exhibits at least 5 of the DSM symptoms, and he commits suicide at the end of the movie, a somewhat expected outcome of victims of BPD. However, he also suffers from a stutter, which is unrelated to the disorder, and he is in a mental institution, which may not be necessary for most victims of BPD. If most people with this disorder can be treated with biweekly talk therapy, then the fact that Billy is in a mental hospital demonstrates his case is incredibly severe. Films like this one often exaggerate the level of destruction that psychological disorders can have in people's lives, aside from severe cases. In reality, many individuals diagnosed with these disorders lead relatively normal lives.